Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your boy Diallo back with another reacts on the channel, y'all. This is gonna be a crazy one. It is called Grave Digging Cannibal Becomes Mukbang Content Creator. Been wanting to watch this for a while. It is React Wednesday, live on Twitch right now. If you wanna come by on React Wednesday, come chill with us. We got some people in the chat. We are vibing out, chilling, watching some good things, scary things, interesting things. So come vibe out with us, y'all. Let's go ahead and get into this video and see just how bad this really was. One more win, though.
Imagine you're watching a mukbang video on YouTube.
Mukbang.
The creator is
Sorry,
a friendly-looking guy. He got a gentle voice, always smiling and trying his best to introduce you to all kinds of
I remember him,
foods.
though. You know, it's funny.
He
I used to watch
warm,
his shit.
maybe even a bit shy. And if you like his vibe, chances are you will click on his other videos, maybe even look him up to learn more about him. But what if, after searching his name, you found out he once went to jail for eating a human body? This actually happened, and the case went viral in Indonesia long before the internet became part of daily life. This is the story of a man who terrified a whole generation of kids in the early 2000s. A name that still makes people shudder. Sumanto, the corpse eater.
How many people did he eat? Cause like now I'm confused. Now I'm interested because she's saying that it scared children and people around. So how many people did he eat? He couldn't have just ate one person and then went to jail. He was probably doing TikToks and eating people on TikTok if people didn't know that. Oh my God, that is crazy. Actually scary. What the fuck? And like I used to see some of his videos.
It all started on January 11th, 2003. The weather in Indonesia was unusually hot. Most people stayed indoors, trying to cool down with fans or iced tea. But in a quiet village in Purbalingga, something unthinkable happened. A grave just buried 16 hours earlier was found wide open, and the body inside gone. It was the grave of a woman named Mrs. Rina. Locals were terrified. They immediately called the police, and soon a trail of disturbed soil led them straight to a small, rundown hut
bro, you got
made of
expired
bamboo.
ones?
People crowded around.
No,
they started
I don't
talking.
like her voice.
Someone
Her voice
pointed and said, "That's her. Those are her bones." And sure enough, inside that little shack were what appeared to be human remains.
I'm here for it.
Police arrived and arrested the man who lived there, Sumanto. As he was led away in handcuffs, the crowd stood in stunned silence. Someone asked the question everyone else was thinking: did he really eat her? Words spread like wildfire, even without social media. The story was everywhere. But then, another twist. Mrs. Rina wasn't his only victim. So who was Sumanto?
I just said it.
What drove him to commit something?
I just said he probably ate other people. He had to. Yeah, this is crazy. So he did eat multiple people. That's what I was saying in the beginning. He had to have. People were afraid of him. Kids, everything. There's no way. He had to have eaten multiple people. And he was probably robbing multiple graves. What's wrong with eating people? There's a lot wrong with eating people, King. There's a lot wrong with eating people. Can't believe you said that. What do you find people, what part of the body do you find good?
So disturbing. And why did this case leave such a lasting mark on the country? Sumanto was born on March 3rd, 1972 in Purbalingga, Central China.
You know damn well he was, wait, that's actually kind of fucked up. I don't know. He was probably actually really, I mean, like, look at him. He looks a little scary. He looks a little ominous. He looks like he was eating people. The brains give the shakes. They are hard to hunt. Literally, bro. They are hard to hunt. This motherfucker looks like a cannibal. Bro, he does look like a cannibal. Some good brain food. No, bro. Look at him. He looks really scary. I used to see him on TikTok, like I keep saying. But I don't remember him ever looking like this. Maybe it's because I was just like scrolling past or shit like that. But that motherfucker in the back is not real. Like real shit. Ain't no way, man.
Java. He was the oldest of 5 siblings, Muyati,
Oldest of
Karyono,
5.
Mariati, and Mulyanto. His family was better off than most in the village. Their house was bigger, and as a kid, Sumanto could afford toys and clothes his neighbors couldn't. The family's wealth came from inherited land and property. He went to Pelumutan 1 Elementary School and was known among his classmates as Suman. Even back then, people
Suman.
noticed he was a bit odd, pulling pranks, acting strange sometimes, but he got decent grades and moved on. Sumanto's dream was to attend
50
Kemangkon
wins
1
with
Middle
Asia
School,
slash.
but
Crazy.
his test scores didn't make the cut. Determined, he repeated 6th grade just to retake the entrance exam. The second time, he passed. His new school was 3 kilometers away.
Repeated
Every
the
day
6th
he walked there
grade.
on foot, herded goats afterward, and collected weeds to feed them. In the evenings, he studied the Quran at the local mosque. With no TV, village life was simple. People looked forward to things like Layar Tanchap, a traveling outdoor cinema, or traditional puppet shows called Wayang. But life changed quickly. In middle school, his family's finances crumbled. First, they couldn't afford new clothes, then food. They sold their livestock, land, and even furniture to survive. Eventually, they had to move into a much smaller house, and in his 3rd year of middle school, Sumanto suddenly dropped out. No one knows exactly why, but most believe it was because of the financial pressure. There's not a lot of official detail about how Sumanto's parents.
He probably dropped out because he was thinking about eating people in high school. And he was probably like, yeah, I can't do this because I'm like, I want to take somebody home and eat them. I'm just reaching, which is wild for me to do.
Treated him, or what his home life was really like. But from what's been reported, it wasn't exactly nurturing. His family, like many in rural Indonesia, held on tightly to traditional beliefs. So, if a child acted out or showed signs of mental distress, they didn't see it as something serious. They just said the kid was being naughty, nothing more. So, Sumanto grew up in a place where resources were tight, support was almost non existent, and emotional needs were often ignored. And that kind of environment, it leaves a mark, especially when everything started to fall apart during his teenage years. Studies show that kids who grow up in poverty and experience trauma or neglect are more likely to struggle with mental health as adults. Some develop aggression, others spiral into deviant behavior. For someone like Sumanto, who was already isolated, already struggling, that lack of care and understanding only made things worse. By the time he reached adulthood, Sumanto had already drifted far from whatever normal path he might have taken. While working in Lampung, he met a woman named Sutrima. They fell in love, got married, but it didn't last. After the wedding, something in Sumanto changed. He became violent, quick to anger. He started hitting her. That became the reason for their divorce. Not long after, in 1993, he married again, this time to a widow named Tugiem, a co-worker at a sugarcane factory. They had a daughter together named Titis Wahyu. But even with a family, things didn't get better. Sumanto would disappear for long periods, never saying where he went. And when he was home, he was abusive to his wife and to his daughter. The cycle repeated.
No, but what if while he was like leaving, that's when he was like doing those crimes? Because she's saying he ate multiple people. He had to do this while he was just out. Like when he's not home being an abusive person, he's out probably eating somebody or finding somewhere to like eat these people or robbing graves. Like she said in the beginning, because he robbed that one lady out of her grave. He probably was actually like killing people and eating them on the side while doing this.
Dead. Eventually, this marriage fell apart too. By 2003, Sumanto was back in his hometown of Purbalingga, living alone in a tiny house on the edge of the village. His financial situation was worse than ever. He couldn't even afford rice. Meat was completely out
He
of
couldn't
reach.
even afford rice.
And maybe out of
That's
desperation, maybe
terrible.
something darker, he started to wonder what it would feel like to eat meat again, real meat. Then on January 11th, he heard a village announcement. An elderly woman had passed away. Her name was Mrs. Rena. She was 81 years old, and her burial would take place that day. That's when the thought crossed
He
his
robbed
mind.
her
What
that
if
day.
I took the body? What if I cooked it?
Like, that's what I'm
He
saying.
waited
When did
until
it
the village
start? It
cleared
had to
out.
start
16
after he
hours
dropped
after
out.
the burial, Sumanto went to the
Or
grave.
right after the
He dug it up,
first. It's one
pulled the
of those
body out,
two.
stuffed it into a bag, and brought it back to his house. What he did next is the stuff of
Rotten
nightmares.
meat. So he went and he heard that day he heard that she passed. So he went to go eat her that day. Are you crazy? Man, that's wild, yo. He went to go dig her up the day that it was announced that her burial was. So that means that she wasn't even like, she just passed probably like a couple hours ago, maybe even like a day ago, but it's still rotten meat. And he decided to eat that. When did he start thinking about this shit, man? It was in between one of those two times.
He cut the body into pieces. Some claimed he even removed her genitalia and turned it into a necklace. Then he cooked part of her flesh just like it was normal meat. But soon the village found out.
Then they show us a
Someone
picture
noticed
of
the
fucking
grave
meat and
had been
rice.
disturbed.
What's
When
the
people
problem?
looked inside, the coffin was empty. One villager stepped
Why
forward
would she do
shouting,
that?
"I saw it. It was Sumanto. He took the body. He was wearing something that looked like a woman's parts." Panic spread
What?
fast, and within moments, a crowd formed. Some people picked up weapons, just in case. They all headed towards Sumanto's house. When they arrived, they saw it for themselves. Dirt, the color of dried blood leading up to the door. They burst inside, and what they found was
Don't they embalm them
unforgettable.
before burial or
Bones
something?
scattered
That's
across
what I'm
the floor,
saying. How
a
did he
plate of
do
rice
it?
on the table with something that looked like meat
A plate of
beside it.
rice
Everyone
on the
was
table and
thinking the
meat
same
next
thing.
to it.
He ate her. He actually ate Mrs. Rena. They didn't wait. The villagers dragged Sumanto straight to the nearest police station. And that is where the real investigation began. After his arrest, the
Man.
investigation moved quickly. So
He had the rice and the meat just sitting there. He had the rice right next to the meat. And he was going, scoop the rice onto the plate, take a little bit of meat, put it on top of the rice, throw some sauce on there, and eat it. Like, no thought behind it, no question about it. He was just going to eat the bitch. Ain't you had meat and rice the other day? No, bro. That was a week ago. I had meat and rice a week ago. That shit was good though.
Sumanto was
Sitting right
brought
next
in,
to it.
questioned, and what he said left the entire country
Look at him. He looked
stunned. With a calm
crazy.
smile on his face, he admitted it. He ate the body. When police asked what human meat tasted like, which is an odd question to ask,
Yeah.
Sumanto smiled and answered, "It's bad, worse than dog or mouse. Even cat meat tastes better." Grave robbing is already a major taboo in Indonesian society, but eating a
What?
corpse, that was beyond comprehension. He later said he was hungry, but during the police investigation, Sumanto initially claimed something else, that he ate human flesh to gain spiritual powers. He believed that by consuming human flesh, he could become stronger, even immortal. That alone raised serious concerns about his mental state.
What?
The police eventually turned their attention to Sumanto's
Stronger and
past,
even
trying to trace
immortal.
where these beliefs came from. Their search led them to Lampung during the time he was married to his first wife. That's when they found Taslim, the so-called mentor. He wasn't a doctor, not really. He was a dukun, a local shaman posing as a spiritual healer. According to Sumanto, it was his mentor, Taslim, who introduced him to the idea. He told Sumanto that if he ate 7 corpses, he would gain the power to bring the dead back to life.
Corpses.
And if he wanted even more power, he'd need to consume 21, maybe even 41 bodies. Sumanto decided to aim for 7. And as the investigation continued, police uncovered more bones inside Sumanto's house, some of them clearly not belonging to Mrs. Rena. A few were identified as female, while others couldn't be matched to any known victim. There. It was difficult to say exactly how many people might have been involved. They also found clothing belonging to a man named Mistam. He was a familiar face in the village, an elderly masseur who often visited people's homes for traditional treatments. People recalled that the last time anyone saw him, he was heading to Sumanto's house. After that, he was never seen again. Because of that, many suspected Sumanto had something to do with his disappearance. But the police couldn't find any physical evidence linking Miss Tam's disappearance directly to a crime.
Hopefully they weren't pilots.
There were no remains confirmed to be his, no witness accounts, and no confession, just clothing, just assumptions. So while the suspicions were strong and the rumors widespread, Sumanto was never charged with murder. In fact, he wasn't convicted of killing anyone at all. To really understand what happened in Sumanto's case, it's important to look at where psychological issues and cultural beliefs overlap. In Indonesia, spirituality and traditional beliefs still play a big role in many communities. Even though the country is predominantly Muslim, belief in shamans, spirits, and supernatural forces still runs deep. In rural areas especially, the line between mental illness and traditional practices can be blurry. When someone talks about spiritual power or supernatural influence, it's not always dismissed, it's often believed. Sumanto said he ate human flesh to gain power, and to him, that belief felt real. But many experts believe there was more to it, something psychological. Growing up isolated, with little education and constant exposure to spiritual teachings, Sumanto may have developed a distorted view of the world. By the time he was on trial, his mental health had become one of the most debated aspects of the case. Legal experts, psychiatrists, even the public all questioned whether he should be seen as mentally unfit, or if he was simply someone whose beliefs had pushed him to do something horrific. Could his belief in spiritual forces be considered a mitigating factor? Or did that belief make him dangerous regardless? Psychiatrists were brought in to evaluate him. Some believed he had a serious mental disorder, possibly schizophrenia or another form of psychosis that made it hard for him to distinguish fantasy from reality. Eventually, his lawyer presented a diagnosis from the police psychiatric department dated January 22nd, confirming that Sumanto did have a mental health condition. Based on that, the defense argued that he couldn't be fully responsible for what he had done. His lawyers also argued that Sumanto hadn't actually killed anyone, that he was mentally unstable and had simply stolen a corpse. They told the court that Sumanto's actions weren't driven by personal malice, but by warped understanding of spiritual duty. Whether influenced by mental illness or traditional beliefs, they said, he genuinely believed he was doing something meaningful, even necessary. And somehow, the court agreed. Sumanto repeatedly insisted he was innocent. He admitted to taking the body, yes, but he denied that what he did was wrong in the way people thought. On July 22nd, 2003, the judge handed down the final sentence, 5 years in prison, 1 year less than what the prosecution had sought. While the judge didn't convict Sumanto of murder because there wasn't enough evidence to prove he killed anyone, he was still sentenced for grave desecration and theft. More precisely, not for stealing a corpse, but for stealing property. In this case, the property being Mrs. Rena's body. That decision stirred controversy. Many people were uncomfortable with the idea that a human corpse could be treated as property under the law. Even Sumanto's lawyer raised concerns, arguing that a body wasn't just a discarded object. It had once been a living person. It deserved more respect than that. The court also acknowledged that Mrs. Reno likely wasn't Sumanto's only victim. Still, no additional charges were formally filed. It was a decision that left many unsettled,
I was not the only
especially
person he
considering
killed.
the nature of the crime and the suspicions surrounding other missing persons. And while Sumanto attributed his actions to the guidance of a shaman, and this claim was acknowledged during investigations, there is no substantial public record of a thorough investigation or prosecution of the shaman named Taz Lim. In the end, Sumanto didn't serve the full 5 years. His sentence was reduced, and he was released early, after just 3 years, on the basis of good
That's
behavior
crazy.
and what the
Released
authorities
after 3
described as
years,
a
and he
willingness
went
to
right back
rejoin
to it.
society.
Like,
It
nobody cares
seems
about
that during
Valerie.
his time in prison, Sumanto began to feel genuine remorse. He wasn't the same man who had walked in. After serving time, he made the decision to turn his life around, starting with his faith. He joined a pesantren, a type of Islamic boarding school in his hometown in Purbalingga. The school was
But he
called
ate people,
An-Nur,
yo.
and it was led by Supona Mustaja.
I'm gonna be scared of him.
There, Sumanto began to learn more about his religion. He was taught how to repent, how
would be
to
so
reflect,
scared of
and
him.
how to move forward. Those around him started noticing a change. He became gentler, friendlier. He always smiled, and he formed close relationships with the other students.
Nah.
That story spread quickly, and when it did, people started to look at his case a little differently. Some began to wonder or even sympathize with him. Was Sumanto really the monster people thought he was? Or was he someone who had been hungry, isolated, and confused? Someone who saw a human corpse not as sacred, but as something abandoned. Maybe in his mind he thought,
Sorry, y'all.
it's already buried and
That was
forgotten.
gross.
If the worms are going to eat it, why not me? Over time, people also started to question the case itself. For such a high-profile crime, there were surprisingly few photos of real evidence. Police said they found bones and remains in his home, but only reenactment photos
way.
from the investigation were ever released to the public.
Bones
Some
and
wondered
remains
how
in his
police had
house.
moved so quickly, raiding his house right after a villager claimed to see him carry a body. Theories started to emerge. Maybe Sumanto was covering for someone else. Maybe
Had to
he
be.
had been manipulated. Or maybe he was just desperately hungry. That theory was quietly confirmed years later by an officer who had watched over Sumanto in prison. In one conversation, Sumanto apparently admitted, "I was hungry. I saw other people eating meat and I couldn't afford it. Then I heard someone died and I thought, why not? Maybe it tastes the same as cow or goat."
His wife was
But
the
there is a
cannibal.
strange twist. In later years,
Uh-oh.
reportedly
Here
after
it is.
his
The
release
twist,
in
the twist, Sean, the
2006,
twist.
media and informal interviews quote Sumanto claiming he had killed 2 individuals. He said his first victim was a fellow worker. The second, someone who tried to rob him. In both cases, he cut off their genitalia and kept them as jimat, charms for luck and protection. So over time, Sumanto's own story
What?
began to shift. During his trial, he
fuck?
insisted he had never killed anyone, but later in scattered interviews, he hinted that
said he
there may
killed.
have been more, that he had
Like-
taken lives, not just bodies. The problem was,
He was
none of those
killing
claims could be
people.
verified. There were no forensics to back them up,
Now you
no
meet
murder
to
charges,
keychain.
and with his story
Like,
changing
what
from one
the
moment to the
fuck?
next,
He
the
turned
truth
it into
was hard to pin
charms.
down. Some believe
What?
this inconsistency may point to deeper
This
issues.
shit is
Mental health
crazy.
professionals had already suggested that Sumanto might suffer from a psychological disorder. If that's the case, it's possible he wasn't fully grounded in reality, or that he genuinely believed different versions of events at different times. And today, Sumanto no longer lives in complete obscurity. After several years of staying under the radar, he slowly re-entered public life, this time in a very unexpected way. He was invited to take part in a local event with a playful, if controversial, theme, running competition chased by a cannibal. Around that
Chased by
time,
a
he created an
cannibal?
Instagram account. He operates under the Instagram handle
And they thought that
Sumanto
shit was
Official,
fun?
where he shares various aspects of his daily life, including
I
mukbang videos,
remember seeing him
motivational
on there.
posts, and glimpses into his routines. And yes, he uploads mukbang videos, which is an odd twist for someone with his history. He posted a video of himself eating satay, his favorite food. The clip went viral almost overnight. Before long, Sumanto had found a new path as a mukbang content creator. And now, his face is once again in the public eye. Only this time, framed by food and followers, not police reports. Some people were genuinely surprised. Here was a man once feared and judged, now sitting in front of a camera, smiling, eating satay, and saying things like, "Don't forget to be grateful today." To some, it's inspiring. They see a man who served his sentence, tried to change, and is now rebuilding himself through something as simple and relatable as food. They say people deserve second chances, that his past shouldn't define his future. But others aren't so sure. There are comments, skeptical ones. Some users express discomfort, even distrust. A few openly question the food he's eating in the videos, with sarcastic remarks hinting at his past. There's a clear tension between those who believe in rehabilitation and those who can't forget what he once did. Can someone with that kind of history become an entertainer? Is it okay to watch, laugh, or even follow? His past will never be forgotten, but over time, his story has also sparked bigger conversations, especially about how we view mental health. In rural parts of Indonesia, where such topics were rarely discussed.
Yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy. I mean, like, this dude was a straight cannibal, and they had a race game running from the cannibal, and people played it. For what? What purpose did that serve? Like, oh my gosh. And he had the rice and the meat sitting next to each other from the person that he just dug up and ate. Like, yo, this dude was crazy. And then he said someone tried to rob him, and then he killed somebody else, a fellow coworker, and he stole their genitalia and used them as keychains, charms, luck pendants. What, man? Who is he? The ball wrangler? What the fuck? Nonetheless, though, y'all, everybody stay safe out there, and y'all be easy. I can't imagine a race when I'm running from a cannibal. Yo, give me a gun. Let's play try shooting the cannibal. Let's play that. Stay safe out there, y'all, and be easy. Peace.